bitch. Yes, it's your girl Paige back at it again with yet another video for you hoes. Today I'm going to be talking about something that's already been spoken about. All of the tea's pretty much out there, but I am going to be talking about it from my personal perspective. It is the TFUE versus FaZe Clan situation. So if you want to stay tuned and listen to all of everything that I've got to say in regards to this, don't forget to smash that subscribe and like button, and let's get straight into it after this intro.
Most of these bitches is petty, 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 petty. Most of these bitches is petty.
Okay, so starting approximately the 25th of last month, the gaming community pretty much blew up as reports came out that FaZe Clan member TFUE was suing the group FaZe Clan over a bad contract. But before we get into all of that, all of the contractual obligations and details and all of those shenanigans, let's take a look at who's involved in this 60-second rundown. Okay, so first up, we have Ricky Banks, aka FaZe Banks. FaZe Banks is the CEO of the Clan, and he founded Clout Gang on YouTube in 2017. Banks is dating Alyssa Violet and has had beef with the Paul brothers, Jake Paul being her ex, and he is also friends with the very controversial Rice Gum. Next up, we have Dennis Lepore, aka Cloaksy, aka FaZe Cloak. Cloaksy is the captain of the FaZe's Fortnite team battle, which includes TFUE. He joined FaZe Banks a month before TFUE in March 2018. He is TFUE's duo partner in Fortnite, and they've qualified for the World Cup. Yes, they're taking this very seriously. Then there's TFUE. TFUE is/was a member of the FaZe Clan. Contractually, he's still a member until this lawsuit releases him, or if it does. TFUE also has a brother called Jack Teeny. He has 4.5 million subscribers, and also he has an attorney called Brian Friedman of Friedman and Tatelman, who is the law firm who is taking over this TFUE versus FaZe Clan situation, which we'll be delving into today. Right, we got it? Good. Okay, so basically the situation went viral in the last few weeks, late May, as news broke that FaZe Clan member TFUE was suing the group, and that went public. The story was trending worldwide on Twitter and made big ripples within the gaming community. It also garnered a lot of attention from quite a few big names, including Keemstar, H3H3, and Jake and Logan Paul. Banks, who co-owns FaZe Clan, took to Twitter and YouTube to dispute Teeny's allegations of an unfair contract. 80% of his earnings were going to the clan, allegedly, saying that FaZe Clan had only collected 60,000 out of millions in earnings from Teeny. Interestingly, there is a video of TFUE saying, "Do I keep all my earnings?" Yeah? So although the contract means that they can take more, he is aware that they aren't.
Do I keep all my earnings? Yeah. And half the money I win is charity money, but all like the regular tournament winnings.
Banks' full Twitter response basically implies that he would never do that to TFUE, but a friendship can only do so much when there is a contract involved. TFUE, now having qualified for the Fortnite World Cup with a 30 million prize pool, there is nothing stopping them from cashing in on what they haven't already taken yet. Aside from the legal battle, Banks has gotten very emotional about the alleged betrayal, making a 20-minute vlog on how he made TFUE. He says he discovered TFUE when he was only getting 100 viewers on Twitch, but still pushed for him to get high-profile opportunities.
Crushed. It's not even funny. I've never been done this dirty by a homie in my whole life. A homie that I helped, a homie that I changed their whole entire life. Let me elaborate. Obviously, TFUE was locked in verbally with us at this point, and we had his contract ready. We gave him his contract that weekend, and he knowingly, willingly, was excited, ecstatic to sign this contract and to join FaZe Clan. So he did. And that contract, that same contract, is the contract that he is under to this day. It was a 3-year term. I don't know exactly what all the splits look like, but Turner outgrew it very quickly. We've been working on negotiating with him almost the entirety length of the contract, and we have collected, again, $0 on it. And I've told him personally, we are never going to collect on your prize money. I want to make this stuff right. I want you to be happy here. I appreciate you being on the team, etc., etc., etc. What followed after that? So what I'm going to put up on the screen right now is a couple of graphs, some math, some receipts, right, of TFUE's growth when he joined FaZe, after he joined FaZe. It was all uphill from there. He skyrocketed, and everything that happened after that was perfect. And some things we helped with, some things we didn't. Some things were all him, some things were all me. And listen,
he goes pretty wild in his Twitter rant about how TFU owes him, etc, etc. He also tweeted videos of TFU drinking underage as a minor, and FaZe Clan have since said that they have tried prior to amend the contract with TFU. On Twitter, Banks said that TFU was offered $1 million per year with 0% splits across the board. The only deliverable for TFU was to represent FaZe Clan, and Banks admitted that it was a shitty contract, but clearly negotiations failed. TFU's response to the blowout came 2 days later in a very short video where he explains that he signed a contract when he didn't know any better. He basically states, the contract basically allows FaZe at any point in the 3 years to just take all of my hard earnings, all of my hard work, and just strip it. He then goes on to say that in a way his lawsuit isn't just about him, but also standing up for some other players who might be in similar situations. Some of the most common news headlines in the industry involve esports organizations not paying their players or competitors under extreme contracts. He goes on to say, what I'm trying to do here is to serve justice to the esports community and the esports industry. He says, these kids are getting ripped off and getting taken advantage of, and there are tons of people in contracts just as bad as me. And I'm the first person to stand up and say, this is not okay. Teeny urged FaZe Clan to release the contract and thus began the hashtag release the contract, which has been trending on social media platforms. Even NFL stars took up the cause.
I can't disclose what is within this contract, but FaZe Clan, please release the contract for the public to see. Let me show the public. Just give me permission to show these people the truth that is within this contract. That's all I really have to say.
Banks' response was to say that FaZe would release the documents as they have nothing to hide, whilst admitting that the original document was trash. Okay, so currently the Blast appears to have gotten there first and supposedly got their hands on the contract, which is now everywhere. Although there have been screenshots of TFU's and Banks' signatures compared against the supposed contract, which don't match up well, the contract has been verified by ESPN and Keemstar. Opinions are torn on the fairness of the contract, but it does line up with TFU's allegations. Banks is still urging TFU to sit down with him and talk things through. He comes across a little bit like a jealous boyfriend, if I'm honest. However, TFU's brother dropped him in it by telling people that the real reason for the lawsuit was so that TFU could leave and start his own esports organization. The contract keeps him for 3 years and he's not even stayed for one, and hence why he would refuse negotiations. There's tension on whether Cloakzy will also leave the FaZe, as he is tied so heavily to TFU by being in a duo in the upcoming Fortnite World Cup, as well as him saying that TFU would be moving in with him. On May 28th, Cloakzy said on a live stream, I'm talking to FaZe to figure out what I want to do, which he even admitted to be a scripted statement. Currently, both are technically still with the clan, and Banks seems to be keen to repair the relationship with TFU, but it's looking like ties are pretty much well severed for him at the very least. Okay, so what is the court of public opinion on this entire story? Well, the story has literally led social media to be pretty much torn on which side of the fence that they lie. People have been divided on whether the contract is fair today, whether the contract is fair because of where TFU started, whether FaZe is the reason TFU has his success, and would he be at the level that he is without them? And finally, whether he should just suck it up because he signed it. The following screenshots will show you pretty much everybody's opinion. Take a look. honestly wish I could say that there wasn't more, but there's more. And honestly, honey, that isn't even the half of it. That was just the public. So let's take a look at what the most notable people within YouTube and social media have had to say about the entire situations. So the Pauls brothers say that TFU has made his bed and he needs to lie in it. The Pauls brothers discussed the matter during the first video of their new joint YouTube channel on May 26th, where Jake Paul appeared to sympathise with FaZe, referencing his own experience as a talent manager for Team 10 that has infamously seen a slew of YouTubers blow up and subsequently leave.
I've seen it happen. You, like a talent is at a certain point in their career. It's usually like a beginning, burgeoning stage of their career. Burgeoning. They sign into an agreement. They know everything in the agreement. They know it. It's communicated. And it's also communicated like, here's what's gonna happen. You are going to blow up. That's our job, is to blow you up. Then the blow up happens, and then all of a sudden it's like, poof, this isn't fair anymore. I don't remember signing that contract when I first started.
It's because I believe they feel like they were taken advantage of during a stage of their life where they were naive and possibly didn't know any better. Factually, they would have never reached the level of success that they became if they didn't sign that contract.
Yeah, so it's contradicting.
I mean, yeah, but like some of these contracts are brutal, bro. Like I haven't actually seen the FaZe contract.
They got released. Averages out to be like 50-50.
In traditional media, that's like
that's
very standard.
Yeah, like if you're signed to a record label, you might only get like 10% of your career.
I thought it was like 30. The label gets 70, you get 30, because they're taking.
Some people it's even more, but yeah, a 50-50 contract in traditional like Hollywood like isn't that bad. Again, that is the point of the contract, and I think the sad part about it is how the person goes about it. And this is how it is in my situations that I've experienced. Is they've just like been like, oh screw this, I'm leaving. I don't want to be in this contract anymore. I'm gonna like make a video about it. If they would have just come to me, I would have just fixed the problem. And I think that's probably the same thing with TFUE. If he would have just came and been like, hey, like I want to work this out, then they probably would have worked it out.
It's tricky with the internet stuff because unlike traditional media, everyone is so close. Like TFUE is tight with all the FaZe guys, like they're actual friends in real life, and everything they do all the time is online. And so doing it in the public eye has a weight to it. It blows everything out of proportion, and it's not handled professionally. It's not handled the right way.
Next up is Ethan Klein from H3H3, who states that the contract is up. Klein discussed TFU's contract drama during an episode of the H3 podcast on May 24th, where he called TFU's contract evil and predatory, claiming that the agreement is an embarrassment to the esports and internet entertainment industries. This is what he had to say.
Now, that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that the contract has a specific termination clause that forces TFUE to sit on the sideline for 6 months and not professionally play any video games if he gets fired for cause. It says, and it says specifically, I'll read it verbatim, in the event of a termination for a gamer material breach, gamers shall be prohibited from playing video games publicly, online, or in live tournaments, or professionally for a period of 6 months from the effective date of such termination. So what that means,
so long.
I mean that
6 months.
They're effectively saying if you breach our contract, we're going to ruin your professional gaming life. I mean, in 6 months' time, that's like you're going to be left behind in that amount of time. But this is so predatory.
And
it's borderline on evil.
I don't think we said, but the contract was for 3 years.
Yes.
Too.
So they're saying, sure, if you breach this, you cannot play professionally anything, anywhere for 6 months or we'll sue you. I mean, this is just evil. This is predatory. This is evil. This is kind of like they're this is their trump card for like, oh, if this guy ever gets unruly, if this guy ever gets out of hand, then we get this ultimate trump card of like, okay, go ahead and leave. We're going to sideline you for 6 months and sue you if you try. I mean, that kind of clause has no place in a contract. In the real world, that would be so illegal, so wildly inappropriate. For them to even include this is shocking. It's appalling. It's a shame. It's a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. And I think that FaZe should really and I think
okay, interesting stuff. So here are my thoughts. It seems very, very shifty that TFU would back out so early in a contract because they take 80%, when so far he's been earning heaps. I think it's likely that he wants out of the 3-year commitment that is probably catered to somebody who's a lot less successful than he is, because at this very moment in time, people are comparing him to one of the biggest gamers on the Twitch platform, which is Ninja. Whereas I think at this point that Banks is somewhat of a dick for mixing or encouraging friendship alongside business and business contracts and obligations, because it seems like he is all in when it comes to putting his emotions out there on social media about how he feels so betrayed, like to the point that it's coming off like a really passive aggressive, you know, controlling ex-boyfriend. Like that's how it's coming across, because his emotions are so very much involved, whereas that's not professional and that's definitely not business like. At the end of the day, y'all had a contract, so if we're going to sort out this problem, let's sort out this problem like professionals, the same way we entered this contract, because this guy was not your friend before you enlisted him into the FaZe Clan. I also think this is a situation where people need to look at themselves internally and value themselves, like know what your worth is from the jump. A lot of people know this, a lot of people don't know this, but prior to doing YouTube, what I used to do was a lot of plus size modeling. I have modeled for loads of different brands. I have modeled for Simply Be, Eloquy, Yours Clothing, New Look, a bunch of different brands, like a bunch. And I used to work independently. Now, the reason I worked independently was because I was constantly having contracts thrown at me, but these contracts were actually ridiculous. And I know a lot of people who work within the modeling industry are working within the parameters of these contracts, so I'm not going to discuss who these contracts were from and what modeling agencies these contracts were from, but I will say that people taking a % cut of my earnings was typical contracts that would come onto my table. Also taking up to 50% for jobs that they had not sourced themselves. So say for instance I was doing a gig with an independent brand and it was a situation between me and that brand. We'd talked, we'd conversed, I'd got the job myself. Regardless of the situation, the company would be able to swoop in and collect their coins off the back of the work that I had done, which meant in turn that a lot of these companies didn't actually work for the models at all. In fact, the models were doing 99.9% of the work and they were just cashing their checks at the end of the day. And I've seen this happen so many times. I've seen this happen with massive modeling agencies as well as very small companies. And I just knew for a fact, I knew that I was worth more than that. I knew that I wasn't going to go out and make all of this effort and do my grind and work hard for somebody to take the majority of my earnings, or for them to do absolutely nothing and still take a slice. It was at that point that I decided that I was going to leave the modeling industry entirely. I have not gone to a single audition, I've not gone to a single gig, and I have found a new job, which is now YouTube, as well as obviously my main job, but YouTube is my main source of income, I guess. Now I get to speak my mind, I get to talk about whatever the hell I want to be, I get to not be a human mannequin, but at the exact same time, I am in full control of my earnings. Me and YouTube know that it's a 70-30 split, and the 70 is in my favour. And I've earned more as a YouTuber than I ever did as a model, period. And I was working for big ass brands, period. But what this entire TFU situation has brought to light is the significance of such an unregulated industry. And this lawsuit may mean that gamers begin to get treated more like other talent with regulations, legal supervisory, and more awareness around fair working conditions, which I also think is a positive move. TFU's 23-page lawsuit is based around a contract which is set to New York law, being in breach of California's Talent Agency Act, which is where they're operating out of. As you can see in the screenshots that I'm showing you currently, TFUE's lawyer believes that this is a massive breach of contract on FaZe Clan's part. But like I said, I am definitely no lawyer, so we'll have to wait and find out how this all plays out in court. And this could be a massive win for the talent, aka content creators and online talent management companies, so that there's some fairness across the board, some regulation across the board, so that they're playing by exactly the same rules as most talent agencies and most talent management companies would have to in mainstream media. Anyway, that's about it from me. Don't forget, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like it, if you don't, I don't give a shit anyway. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification with the bell so that you guys get a notification every single time that Petty Paige posts new content. I personally think that this lawsuit could possibly be a positive step in the right direction if TFUE wins, which I personally feel he should. But that's just my humble opinion, and don't forget to form your own, because I'm just petty. Bye guys.
Petty, petty, petty.